Welcome back to another day of solving two-step word problems. Today I'm going to go over some of the problems that you saw for two steps last week, and I'm going to show you a couple different strategies that you might have used or you might want to try to use in the future to solve. Here we go. Let's review what the steps are to solving two-step word problems. First, like every word problem, we read the problem and make a picture in our mind. Then we ask ourselves, do we have enough information to answer the final question? If the answer is no, we know we need to split up our workspace because we are looking at a two-step word problem. To solve a two-step problem, first we ask ourselves, what information does the problem ask for? And we can look at the final question to tell us that. Then we read the problem again and ask what question is hiding, or another way to say that would be, what do you need to know first? Some of you also used pictures to represent the word problems, and that works just fine as well. You're still following those steps of figuring out the final question and finding out what is information or what question is hiding from you. All right, so here's one of the problems you saw last week. A farmer has 2 crates of milk bottles for sale. Each crate has 24 bottles. He sells 35 bottles. How many bottles of milk are left? Now, right away, we know that 24 bottles minus 35 bottles wouldn't work. So something else has to happen before we can solve for the bottles of milk that are left. Let's look closely at this problem. In this problem, I see that the number 2 is written in word form. Just because a number is written in word form doesn't mean necessarily that it's not important to the story. So this farmer has 2 crates of milk bottles. So I'm making a picture in my mind of those 2 crates of milk bottles. And inside each crate is 24 bottles. So I can represent that using my 10s and 1s. I can put 24 in the first crate and 24 in the second crate. Now, we know that he sells 35 bottles. So I can take away 35 of the bottles from the crates that I've represented. That's 20 bottles, the 30 bottles, 34 bottles, 35 bottles. If I count what's left over in my crate, I will know how many bottles of milk are left. That would be 10, 11, 12, 13. There are 13 bottles of milk left. Let me check back again and make sure that I've answered the question the problem asks. It says how many bottles of milk are left. I came up with 13 bottles of milk. I answered the question that I was being asked. Some of you solved the same problem using the two-step method and splitting up your workspace. So let's go ahead and look at what that would look like. First, we need to figure out what information does the problem ask for by looking at the final question, how many bottles of milk are left? Okay, so we know that step 2 will be solving for bottles left. We would probably do this by taking the total bottles, subtracting the bottles that are sold to find the bottles that are left. We don't know how many bottles are left. We know that 35 bottles get sold, and we don't know the total number of bottles in the crates. So the first thing we need to do is figure out what we need to know first. Well, first we're going to need to know the total number of bottles. And I see that that says apples, so I'm seeing that I have a typo. But what I meant to say was the total number of bottles. So to do that, I would find the bottles in crate 1, add the bottles in crate 2 to find the total bottles. I know there are 24 bottles in the first crate and 24 bottles in the second crate because each crate has 24 bottles. And then I got to solve for the total. All right, 24 plus 24, that equals 48 total bottles. I take that number 48 and I plug it in to my second equation. 48 total bottles minus 35 bottles sold gets 13 bottles left over. Let me double check that I've answered the final question. How many bottles of milk are left? 13 bottles left. I answered the final question. Here's another problem that looked a little different that you saw last week as well. Margie has 17 balloons. Logan has 9 more balloons than Margie. Bonnie has 12 fewer balloons than Logan. How many balloons does Bonnie have? I'm going to show you a way that you can make a quick picture or a quick sketch to help you. So the first thing I did was I made a list of all 3 people in this problem. Then I made a list of what I know about each of them. I know that Margie has 17 balloons. I know that Logan has 9 more than Margie. And I know that Bonnie has 12 fewer or 12 less than Logan. I also want to make sure I know what I need to find out in the final question. The final question asks, how many balloons does Bonnie have? So I know that my final answer needs to be about Bonnie. In order to figure out Bonnie's balloons, I need to know Logan's balloons. And in order to figure out Logan's balloons, I'm going to need to use what I know about Margie's balloons. So we know Logan has 9 more balloons than Margie, and Margie has 17. So 17 plus 9 would get me to how many balloons Logan has, which is 26 balloons. Then I know that Bonnie has 12 less than Logan. So 26 balloons minus 12 equals Bonnie's balloons. I found that Bonnie has 14 balloons. Have I answered this question? How many balloons does Bonnie have? Yep, I have answered the final question. This is the same problem solved using 2 equations, 1 equation for each step. The final question asks, how many balloons does Bonnie have? So I know step 2 will be to solve Bonnie's balloons. Before I can solve Bonnie's balloons, though, I need to know how many balloons Logan has. For both of these problems, I'm going to need to make comparison bars. So when I read the problem, we know that Margie has 17 balloons and Logan has 9 more than Margie. So that tells me that Logan has the most between Logan and Margie. We know that Margie has 17 balloons and Logan has 9 more. So that will tell us how many balloons Logan has. In the second step, I'll be comparing Bonnie's balloons and Logan's balloons. The problem says that Bonnie has 12 fewer or less than Logan. So again, Logan has the most and Bonnie has the least. We don't know how many Logan has. We don't know how many Bonnie has, but we know that the difference is 12. If I were to go ahead and solve this, I would find that Logan has 26 balloons. I take that answer from the first step and plug it in to the second step. Logan's 26 balloons minus the 12 fewer gets me 14 balloons, which answers the final question, how many balloons does Bonnie have? I hope that seeing these problems again in more than one way has helped you figure out or think about a strategy that might work for you today. Remember, you can split up your workspace and draw 2 equations. If it's a comparison problem, you can use your comparison bars. And if it helps you to visualize the problem and just make a picture, you can do that too. Make sure you pick a strategy, make sure you have a plan, and good luck solving today.